What's up, everyone? CaRai coming at you with another video, and there are some words that have been bothering me. These words said by Globeku have been bothering me in a video he released the other day. So check this out real quick.
And then I started showing them infinites and switch tech, and yep, that's all still in the game. You can still throw a jutsu or chakra dash for free if you just switch characters.
So with that being said, that really bothers me, and the reason for that is because the fact that Globeku went and got the test drive a lot of other characters in Naruto X Boruto Storm Connections, and based on his wording, you can still do a lot of the broken stuff that's in Storm 4. So that makes me wonder two things. One, is the build for the demo that they're using just the build that did they just kind of rip Storm 4, apply these things, and say, okay, this is the build we're going to be using for the demo? Or is this actually quite literally the game? Because first of all, this is the first time the demo has been this extensive, because usually the demo is a core few characters, like with Storm 4 and the demo that was at the different conventions, it was a core few characters. It wasn't the whole cast. In Storm 3, when they had a demo, they were promoting the Jinchurikis, and so in the demo you could play as a few new characters and then all the Jinchurikis. And then of course the Storm 2 demo was literally the story mode that was released to everyone. Then the Revolutions demo, it was released to everyone as well. It actually had online, and you could play as 4 different characters: Sasuke, the new Sasuke Ines, Kakashi, Mecha Naruto, and then I literally forget the 4th character. It might have been Naruto, I don't know. Excuse me, but anyways, you get the point. And then Generations was also a story mode playthrough too. And there were also 2 Storm 3 demos. There was a demo that was available only at conventions, and then there was the demo that was released to everyone, which was a story mode demo. And so what I'm curious about is that really this is bad, because if you can do everything what you're seeing right now, if you can do a lot of this broken stuff day one when the game comes out, then you're going to have a learning curve unlike any other Storm game ever. Now, from people who have been veteran players have always had somewhat of an advantage, or at least day one, because fundamentally the Storm games are pretty much the same. Even Leader Switch in Storm 4, it's literally just the same Storm fundamentals, just stacked. Leader Switch just stacks on top of that for the most part. Now, it is kind of weird how Leader Switch works, because you cannot really have the strongest fundamentals, and Leader Switch can give you a hedge. But that's always been the case in Storm games. Even in Generations, people could just spam and still beat players with strong fundamentals because, well, maybe the matchup warranted that, or maybe they just didn't understand how to really spam that well. And so my whole thing is that the reason why this is bad is because imagine day one, people are excited, people are getting ready to get on the game, and they meet someone. Everyone's going to be quite literally similar rank, so you're going to be getting matched up against everyone, and you get on the game day one, and there's this guy who's using Madara and mashing you out and doing all sorts of crazy switch tech, or using Sasuke and doing switch tech, or using Kaguya and doing switch tech. That switch tech is very overwhelming if you don't understand how to deal with it. And so we can already see what happened with Demon Slayer. If you guys aren't familiar with what happened with Demon Slayer, basically Akaza was too strong for the first few months. And then on top of that, they didn't have spectator mode in the game for Endless. I think there's tournaments too. It's been a while since I played Demon Slayer, but I want to say there's tournaments, and they didn't have spectator mode in that as well, which is weird, because in Storm 4, everyone said, hey, we want this to come back, because at the beginning of Storm 4, it didn't have spectator mode. And so it's very weird. Well, how would you make the same mistake twice? But they did. And so we didn't get spectator mode in those modes until later in the game. It was a later patch. a way later patch. And then Akaza was too strong for too long. They didn't nerf Akaza until I think recently, maybe 3-4 months ago. And even then, it's a little controversial because people are saying, hey, Akaza wasn't even nerfed. Like, he was nerfed, but he was also buffed. So was he really nerfed? But it puts him in a situation of where now the demon that throws these balls or whatever is potentially the best. And so what I'm saying is that we've already seen what happens when you don't appropriately patch a game soon enough, because that's what everyone's hyping up. There's going to be live developer support, but we don't know what the pacing of that is. CC2 is oftentimes too slow when it comes to patching their games, and a lot of times their patches aren't really that strong. Now, I will give them props on their last Storm 4 patch. Their last Storm 4 patch was actually really solid. Nerfed a lot of things that were really annoying. Obviously, a lot of it, still in the game and whatnot, but nonetheless, they did very well. I was very pleased with that patch, but we were already several years into the game, and so many people had already quit off the game because they were tired of it. And so my whole thing is that I don't want to rely on a developer. I don't want the idea to be, hey, let's bring this game out even though it's broken, and let's just, who cares, because they're going to have developer support, because we don't know how fast it's going to be. They say developer support, but maybe they're looking at every year patching the game. I don't know. Maybe they're going to patch it when they drop DLC. Maybe for the first season pass, there'll be 6 characters, and for each character, they're going to tweak the game, but I don't know. And to be honest, I would not bet on that with CC2. The thing is with CC2 is that they've done so many, shady things in the past that I wouldn't say shady, but just weird, scratch head inducing, things in the past. Like, for example, how do you make the same mistake not including spectator mode in Tournament and Endless and Demon Slayer? By now, it's a staple. If Generations can release in 2012 with spectator mode for Endless and Tournament, and it can work flawlessly, why is that not the case for these later games, which are pretty much, reusing a lot of its core assets? That's what I didn't understand. So, what I will say is that another thing that's alarming is that CC2 is not really good at overhauling core mechanics. And a good example of this is that puppets can throw projectiles while blocking. That's always been something they've been able to do, and that is fundamentally broken. The fact that you can put pressure on someone while blocking is broken. But the reason why they can't do it, it's not that they can't do it in Storm 4, but it's not practical. And the reason why that is because the same inputs to throw those projectiles are the same inputs to counter. And so, as you can see, they fixed it by indirectly fixing it, but they didn't really fix it. They, for whatever reason, just never made it to where they couldn't do it. They just put counter in the game, and that indirectly nerfed it. So, I'm not too confident when it comes to them just... because leader switch is very much so integrated into the game. So, with that being said, I'm hard pressed to really see that they're gonna overhaul, these mechanics, especially given the fact that this game is likely gonna drop in September or October. It's still supposed to be coming in 2023. I feel like we're gonna get a release date by the end of July. It's almost July. They got July and August before September or October when this game is gonna come out. So you mean to tell me that in 2 months, maybe 3 months, they're gonna overhaul the game and they're gonna adjust leader switch and take out all the glitches? I don't know about that. I really don't. But there's a first time for everything. CC2 could, Storm 4 set a precedent for multiple patches. Before, you just got one patch and that was it. You got one patch in Storm 3, one patch in Rev. But in Storm 4 they changed that. So there is a time for everything. They can change. The only big hope we really have is them potentially delaying the game. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know if they're going to delay the game. They delayed Storm 4. Storm 4 was supposed to come out in the fall, but it came out in the spring. It was supposed to come out fall 2015, but it came out spring 2016. I'm down for a delay if that's what they want to do. I think a delay would really give them a chance to polish up the game. But we're in for an interesting treat. I think the best thing we can do is wait for the upcoming demos to come out and really look at that footage. And I think the best thing we can do is look at other people's footage because this demo is supposed to be available at the Bandai Namco Games Showcase at Anime Expo at the beginning of July, and then there's another showcase towards the end of July that this game is supposed to be available at as well. And so I think the best thing we can do is really just chill out and, just see what the footage do. Just see, everyone's going to be playing it, and, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some competitive players or people who have a lot of knowledge on the game getting their hands on the game at one of these conventions, and we're just got to see what it do and see what they're talking about and see if things are being tweaked and see how severe it actually is. But yeah, we're in for some interesting days, I'll say that, because if day one you can do all this broken stuff like in these two ranked matches I showed you, you can do. I'm not even that good with it, but this is it on a more moderate level. If you can even do some semblance of this, oh man, you're gonna see a lot of Storm 4 teams day one, and it's gonna be annoying. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be very annoying to deal with it. But anyways, just my thoughts on those things that just my thoughts ultimately on all the broken stuff being in Storm Connections and how I feel about it and what they can do moving forward. All we gotta do is sit down and watch. I will say a delay is very much so likely, just because there's been no release date yet, and we're so close to a potential release date. But then again, you never know. At the end of the day, it's CC2, and all we can do is watch and observe their moves, and go from there. Anyways, CaRai out.